Hello, hello, people of the internet. Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrologer, once again here. I'm bringing you a weekly dose of freedom. Now, if you remember last week, I kind of ended, or in the middle there, I was talking about a lot of Pisces energy. And, whenever I talk about Pisces energy now, we have a really, last week, Sun entered Pisces, and now in this week, we have, full-blown Pisces, even a stellium, we can call it. We have three planets in the sign of Pisces. So, but whenever, even personally, when I start to talk about the sign of Pisces, the words get all mixed up. I get all kind of mystical, misty-eyed, and the energy gets all, this Piscean creative energy, the spiritual energy. And sometimes it's very hard to even convey the clear messages of what is going to happen. And this is what I want to talk about with you for the beginning of this this weekly review as well, because we're going to have Sun in Pisces for a long time, or a month. We're going to have Jupiter still for a couple of months in the sign of Pisces, and Neptune even longer. So there's going to be some Pisces energy there. So this means, overall, generally, there's more this type of creative energy. There's more this type of floating energy. It's like everything is almost up in the air as well. I would say is a very much Piscean type energy. It's like we're preparing ourselves for what is to come, which is Aries season, which is springtime. But now during Pisces season, it's kind of like behind the scenes. We're doing things, we're prepping, we're making things, we're putting our creativity into things before the actual spring Aries excitability energy comes. So we have a month definitely with this, and this week definitely continues. And Sun is in Venus terms as well, and Venus is with the Mars. So this time it can, even the beginning of let's say this Sun in Pisces stint, maybe it's a little bit more energetic, and we still have a little bit more energy, especially good actually, I think, still for creative things, because Sun in the sign of Pisces and in the term of Venus, which is all about that artistic creative expression. Now, just remember this type of more up in the air things. Pisces is water, Pisces is mutable. Whenever there's water and mutable together, and now we have three planets in water and mutable, everything is kind of floating up in the air. There's no real clarity. Yes, Capricorn and that kind of organizational stellium there with the three planets in Capricorn, that is kind of, I think, helping us to be more grounded in these earthly realms as well, at least for a while. But this Pisces energy that is here for us now, kind of floating and creative and spiritual, and it can be like things are really up in the air at times. Now, I also want to go now into like the beginning of the week. Beginning of the week, we have Moon in the sign of Scorpio, and this is one of the most difficult placements for the Moon, if not the most difficult, in my personal opinion. This is the most difficult placement for the Moon, actually, our emotions, feelings. And very often, if you want to like prove to yourself, this is like an overall general guidance, if you want to prove to yourself that astrology works, start observing people during Scorpio moons. Now, obviously, if a person has some very positive aspects even during Scorpio moon, it doesn't affect them that much. But during Scorpio moons, everything is very dramatic. Everything is a little bit withdrawn. Everybody's kind of withdrawn into their shells, private, and there's kind of like this underlying jealousy, underlying almost like underlying pain, but maybe that's too extreme to say as well. But there's a underlying like suspicion in the air. There's an underlying, okay, I'm going to be triggered right now, and feelings are kind of hidden, but they're twirling around, and it's emotionally quite a difficult time. But luckily for us guys, for us right now during this year, or most of this year, or some of this year, big portion of this year, let's do that. We have, luckily, the Jupiter helping this moon a little bit with a trine every time it's in Scorpio. So it's the moon right now in fixed signs is getting beaten up every time by either a square or opposition from Saturn or a square or opposition from this Uranus. So that's going to make fixed sign moons uncomfortable, and like literally this is what's happening beginning this week. A lot of emotional turmoil inside, and sometimes it can like trigger outside as well, and people are even saying things that are maybe usually don't hurt anybody, because the feeling and trigger and the emotions are so painful underneath us for most of us. Even the small things can trigger a response, can trigger a reaction there as well. So be careful with the Scorpio moon especially. But luckily a little bit help this for us right now, because the moon is getting help from the sign of Pisces and from the sign of Capricorn, from all the planets here with the stelliums I already mentioned. So at least we have some support to handle that quite intense Scorpio moon ups and downs with our emotions and feelings. And Jupiter will help to see the bigger picture here. I think it will help to see the bigger picture of what it is that we're experiencing emotionally, even if it's a little bit turmoil, even if it's a little bit painful at times, even if it's a little bit jealous at times. This can be very much happening for you. It's like the jealousy coming in there. Now let's talk a little bit about Jupiter itself as well, because Jupiter, beginning of the week, Jupiter enters the sign, or sorry, the term of Jupiter itself. So Jupiter is picking up some strength. Actually, you might have experienced a little bit already when the planet started moving direct, like I said a couple of weeks ago. Well, this kind of more of this optimism started picking up, because Jupiter is closing in on Neptune. Now also Sun and Jupiter are closing in, or Sun is closing in to Jupiter. So this means actually more optimism starts to come into our overall general the way we look at things, the way we see things. And unfortunately, I think the closer we're going to move to the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction there, it's going to make even things that maybe are not going to be true, make them seem like they're going to be true. There's going to be this optimistic impulse within people and in the global sphere, definitely, with this happening. And this week, I think we already are quite strongly starting to feel this as well, especially with Jupiter moving into Jupiter terms, because Jupiter is, remember guys, in the overall things, Jupiter is how we see the world, how we see the future. Not maybe, yeah, it's better if I say how we see the future, and almost like our approach to future. Like when, for example, when Jupiter is in difficult placements, the future can seem even bleak. But right now, Jupiter is strong. Jupiter is in the term of Jupiter. So it's kind of like a double strength of okay, so maybe this is not going to be so bad at all. Maybe we can make it. Maybe we can make it out of this, and we can come out of this on top, and maybe there's some good things happening here, and even with everything that's going on with the V situation or sickness situation, the crisis situation, people are going to be more optimistic about it, and can see the light at the end of the tunnel, definitely, or start to at least see the light at the end of the tunnel. Generally, overall perspective, yes, feel and experience the optimism and positivity of Jupiter. But I would say personally, if I've looked at the end of the year, I wouldn't be super optimistic just yet, because end of the year we will have a little bit of a even tougher configurations coming up. But let's enjoy for now. Let's enjoy this Jupiterian optimism. Let's see. Let's visualize the future. Let's visualize that more optimistic future for ourselves, for humans, and yeah. Let's use this energy as well to move forward. And like there's a little bit of forward movement, obviously, with planets moving direct, and now we'll kind of like been direct for a few weeks already, but still there's not a lot of super forward movement energy here. There's only Mars that is strong, and cardinal energy in Capricorn, but cardinal energy in Capricorn is still Earth energy. So the forward movement, I said forward, yes, but it's more like a let's visualize. Let's visualize where we want to go. Let's understand what is possible. Let's maybe use that optimism to visualize that positivity into the future, and hopefully that creative impulse can propel us there a little bit later on when we get to spring. But let's talk about that a little bit later. So Mercury starts to move into Venus terms. So Mercury last week, I didn't mention the term. So Mercury was really strong. I talked about that, but now also moving into Venus terms. So the communication should be mostly, if we're talking about Mars a little bit, maybe there's a little bit of that edginess there, but Mercury is still pretty strong. So communication, or very strong in my opinion, and communication quite pleasant. A lot of information exchange. We talked about that last week. A lot of information coming our way, a lot of ideas, a lot of information, knowledge, wisdom coming into our sphere here. I think I mentioned everything I wanted to mention for the beginning, or that like the 21st, what is happening and started to happen at the beginning. So let's move on. Let's go. Where are we going? Let's go to the 22nd. And let's go to a 22nd. And for the 22nd, we have a lot of moon aspects. Like we already talked about the moon aspects. So yes, some emotional reactions there. Even like, so for some of you who are already, you're behind me, so you're like maybe in the States. So this is a little bit in the where is it? It's like middle of the night for you guys, something like that. So it's not too bad for you. But yeah, so moon is going to get hit by Uranus and by Saturn quite straight, but luckily, remember, Jupiter at the same time helping it out, so it's not too bad here. Will I say that? I'm like, like, God, it's such a weird spot here, guys, because literally moon not doing great in Scorpio, getting an opposition from Uranus. Yes, excited feelings, yes, too excited maybe even, but emotional reactions can cause, definitely coming up some emotional reactions. And we're already kind of like the moon in Scorpio is already kind of like the pain is there, and the Uranus is making us react even more, kind of like taking that twisting and turning our whatever it is that we're dealing with emotionally, our emotional turmoil. And it's like a little bit more here, a little bit more for you here, guys. I really hope that Jupiter trine is helping us to actually see kind of like, again, like the bigger picture, but also what's the word I'm looking for? Like see the reasons why we're doing it for the future, why some of these emotional releases are happening, and where they might be taking us as well. And actually, from a very practical point of view, it's just like for a half a day, for a few moments, it can literally boost our feelings and emotions with all of that Saturnian, Uranian heaviness coming in there. Like, also want to mention with the hard aspect to Uranus and Moon, and this is, I think, a very important part of this. Now it's the information is coming to me. It's like I want to be emotionally free. I want to be emotionally liberated, but it's really hard, and I can't. And it's hard, and these feelings and emotions are like they're tying me down, but I can't really get out of it. And Jupiter there is saying, yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can do it. You can do it. You can release. You can, meditate. You can go towards that emotional liberation and free yourself from whatever it is that is holding you, or you're holding on to in the past, and move towards the new future that you have. So I think that's what I want to say here about this. And later on, when the moon moves even further, so it's so moon makes even sextiles here nicely with both. Now it's coming in with first and foremost Venus and Mars, and then Pluto as well, because I think I want to mention this last part. Yes, Venus and Moon together are kind of like pleasant emotions, feelings after that Saturnian pain that's already on early morning, 23rd of February. So late at night if you're in the States or somewhere around that, or even middle of the day if you're in kind of like ahead of me. So 23rd, yeah. So the moon is going to make, after that, difficulty with Uranus and Saturn, the moon actually is going to make a really nice sextile to Pluto, while obviously in a difficult term, unfortunately. But still, all of that kind of emotional turmoil will start to make sense here, I think, and it will be easier to release and easier to understand even why am I feeling like this, why I'm why some of these reactions, why some of these feelings were necessary. So then, as this kind of like couple of days of transformation, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, early 23rd, we get over with them, we can see the bigger picture right after that Pluto makes that sextile. We kind of go deep, we understand, okay, so this is what was happening, this is the reasons why we experienced this. Okay, good stuff. And then the moon later on in the day, 23rd, if you're in Europe, again, this is Europe time, but I adjust accordingly if you're around the globe somewhere. The moon enters a lovely space, guys. Moon is going to be in the sign of Sagittarius, already good, and the beginning of Sagittarius is Jupiter term, so like a double Sagittarius Jupiterian influence for us here. And it's going to be a little bit more optimistic. The feelings, the heavy feelings are going to be, let's say, done with, at least for a while, for a moment. And even with we're talking about, let's go a little bit further on to the 24th, or let me just check. Note. Okay, let's talk about this as well, guys. So so remember, before even we get to the optimism part, let's talk a little bit, because at the same time moon is in a sextile with Pluto. Let's go back a little bit, sorry guys. There it is. So moon is also at the same time, it's going to make a sextile to Pluto. It's actually making a conjunction to the south node, and south node is right now we're getting very interesting, for a year and a half almost. We're getting this, not entirely because Pluto will move forward, but at least the south node conjunction and moon will get a lot in the sign of Scorpio. And first and foremost, yeah, for a while, this intuitiveness and these deep intuitive feelings, and you're kind of picking up on A lot of spiritual energies can happen on the 23rd of February, earlier in day, but also a good time, like I said, to release some of the things that have been holding us back emotionally, and some ideas about ourselves, some pains that maybe, you know, even earlier 21st, 23rd, 2nd came up here, where the moon was in difficult situations here with Uranus and Saturn. It comes up and finally now conjunct the south node. It's a really good time to release some of those ideas, feelings, even because it's a lot to do with our feelings. Good to release some of these feelings you might have towards somebody. Maybe they're kind of negative feelings, maybe they're painful feelings. Release those feelings here. It's a good time to do it. Okay, let's go into that optimistic Jupiterian energy here, because yeah, moon is going to be squaring the sun for a moment. I don't think it's anything super bad here. I guess you know, maybe we feel like we should be doing this emotionally, and then we can't really do it. It's kind of like our emotions are, and creative outlets that we're doing in the world are a little bit at odds. But again, you know, feeling pretty good here emotionally, because most aspects to the moon are pretty nice here, and we're getting to where is it? Okay, so even we have a lovely sextile with the Mercury moon here. Moon strong in Sag, in my opinion, maybe a little bit too overflowing with emotion, and just like too jolly and too optimistic about things. But after, you know, after that tough Scorpio moon, it's good to be a little bit optimistic, to kind of understand the bigger picture of why we needed to transform these emotions and feelings here, so we can see the bigger picture and actually the future in more of a positive light as well. And a nice lovely sextile with Mercury and Saturn coming up here, you know, very in tune in communication, feelings and thoughts are quite in tune, again pretty optimistic. I think this is a pretty nice day in general. Let me just see if there's super bad happening here. I mean, the Mars is moving into Saturn terms. Luckily, Mars and Saturn. So Mars is in Capricorn, but yeah, okay. So Mars is doing well, but in Saturn terms. So this can put some damp on it as well. I don't want to go too much into that. We've had everything has been putting so much damp on us. Maybe let's not go into that for now. But I want to talk about Moon and Jupiter square. I think this is always important. Like we're getting already this really dose of optimism now. Moon and Jupiter square, even in a square, Jupiter brings its optimism and kind of luck and abundant thinking. But I think it's a place where on the 24th, when it's like, oh, you know, it can just get too much. So it's like overflowing optimism. Hopefully that Saturn sextile can dial it down a little bit, but otherwise it's just gonna get, you know, think again like everything is possible and constantly possible, you know. For a moment at least you get that sensation, and too permissive with our emotions and feelings here. Definitely wanting to help others and help people. But again, with the square, it's like we might even give too much of ourselves there, and you know, whenever you feel so much energy, feel so much positive energy, it can get, you know, too much and almost like tire yourself out there as well. Should we talk about this still? Maybe dampen the mood a little bit, guys. Let me just see. Let me just see. Okay, let's move a little bit further and maybe let's talk about this a little while, little second. Where we are, 24th. Let's go to 25th. 25th. So the 25th. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we will on the 25th. We get an interesting square here with the Moon and Neptune. You know, just Moon and Neptune square is like a extra layer to the Moon and Jupiter square, but it's a little bit of a like easier to get deceived by something that seemingly feels good outside in the world, and then kind of makes you feel good, but maybe there's no substance there, or maybe there's no real thing that is actually right for you. I call this like being emotionally deceived square. So be on the lookout, or being emotionally deceived aspect. So it's on the 25th, happening, maybe if you're in the States, late 24th of February happening. But after that, we will get actually Moon void, of course. So that's a bit of a downtime, guys. I do not recommend starting anything really new during Moon void, of course. I really like Moon void, of course, behind the scenes work, spiritual work, behind the scenes work in general, like doing something deeper behind the scenes and not really putting anything out there. No need. Because usually when you do something or start something during Moon void, of course, it really doesn't give the best results. So complete something. Maybe you have a project, something there that needs to be completed, needs to be worked on a little bit behind the scenes. Maybe alone time. Again, alone time really like it here. So do that, and remember that it's happening on the early. If you're in Europe, early 25th, even almost the entire day. So basically 25th, and later on, after like 7 p.m. 25th, the Moon is moving into the sign of Capricorn. So it's going to make new aspects to things. It doesn't mean, or it's not anymore Moon void, of course. And what did I want to say here? Sorry, guys. Just let me just pick it up. Oh yes. Now I remember. Let's back it up a little bit, because before we can move on, Mercury and Uranus are actually on the 25th. And let's say late 24th as well, so be on the lookout. Mercury is now making a square to Uranus. Yes, Mercury is doing pretty well here in terms, let's say terms. Uranus term wise, I think is doing well as well. But if they're on the square, still, put away your phones when you're driving. Don't fiddle with your phones. There is a tendency to be so much information coming, sudden information, all of a sudden coming into you, or into your phone. You need to react and grab it, and good idea if you're driving. It's like the sudden events on the road, on these small roads where you're driving. Maybe it's your local road. Something sudden can happen there. Maybe there's maybe there's an accident. Maybe there's something weird going on the road. You need to stop. Pay more attention when you're driving. Put away the phone, definitely, while driving. And afterwards, you can, because it's a Uranus Mercury square. It's definitely a lot of information. You need to be almost very clear what you're saying, what you're kind of giving, and there's can be sudden communications happening with people, and not all of them are the best, but still can have creative ideas. Have to write them down, otherwise new creative idea, pew, 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 like shooting into your brain. constantly. It's a good time to write these down. And yeah, people can even say things that are kind of like agitating, and all of a sudden they say something weird in the middle of a conversation, like what it kind of hits you in a weird way. So that can, or it can even be somebody says something very like thought-provoking into the future idea that you're kind of like, whoa, this I never thought of before. But there's going to be a lot of that, so you need to write these things down as well. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, I think I got that one down, and we can move on with the moon in Capricorn. Now, after that after that joyousness, the moon moves into Capricorn. It's like, okay, enough of that kind of joyous future visualization and being jolly all the time kind of thing. Let's get down to business. Let's get serious. Let's start working. Really good time, obviously, to do work. It's easier to focus during moon in Capricorn. So from 25th onwards. Later, obviously, if in Europe, and earlier, starting from 25th if you're in the States, for example. So, guys, what do we have here? So serious emotions, but good for working, good for doing tedious tasks, organizing something, work. I mentioned that. Yeah, people can be like, you can notice again. You can notice them being too serious, like very, very like professional, like overly professional even. But it comes like with almost like a dryness. Like the emotions and feelings are dry because we're so much influenced by our emotions and feelings. The dryness and the kind of overall way we are in the world can really pick up. You can really start to see it. So pay attention to that and just organize and do good work. Do some tedious task maybe that you've kind of prolonged. It's easier to do them during moon in Capricorn. Now let's move. No. Yes, let's go to the 26th. Finally. God, I've been taking forever to get these messages out. But anyway, it's the weekend now. And oh God. Moon is going to make a lot of aspects. So moon is going to make a lot of aspects, mostly positive actually. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So moon is going to make nice little sextile here with Uranus. Again, feel like we're like going directly towards our goals, our dreams and passions. And we're working and we're putting in the work, and the Jupiter term here adds to it as well. And we're kind of like gradually moving towards our goals here. I think it's a good time to actually do some work here. Yeah, because literally we literally have the sun. Before that, we had the sun sextile moon as well. So literally our emotions and creative ideas and pursuits are right on the money. We're kind of like in sync. We're working towards and making towards. Yes, a little bit behind the scenes, but still moving towards making those dreams and goals of ours happen. But now on the 27th, let's go right on the 27th, the end of the week. What is happening? We're going to have 3 conjunctions in a row. Even before that, okay, Jupiter makes a nice sextile to moon as well, helping us with those goals and working towards. I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic with all of that serious Capricorn energy there as well, because it can get a little too serious, too like I'm too professional to have some fun. No, Jupiter comes in on 26th and says like, maybe you can just enjoy yourself a little bit here for a couple of hours at least. And now conjunctions in the sign of Capricorn and in Saturn terms, because now the Venus and Mars conjunction moves into Saturn terms. That brings a little bit of a heaviness, like that Saturnian. It can bring some problems definitely into relationships during the week in general, I would say, as well. Like even it's a little bit harder to see. It's a little bit harder to be accepting of others. It's a little bit more serious. It's a little bit more, dampens the mood in relationships as well, and almost makes it seem like relationships are a lot of work. We can say that, or there can be some problem within the relationship that needs to be dissected, discussed, and it's kind of like hard to do, and feels a little bit heavy. And now Moon comes in, and definitely, was it Sunday? Sunday, there's a bit of a sexual energy there, definitely, because together anyway, Venus and Mars, more sexual energy. Yes, Saturn term dampens it a little bit, but Moon there with again Pluto as well. Good time. I would say definitely a good time to do the love making here. Maybe it's a little bit serious, maybe it's a little bit practical, even the love making, but the sexual energy is there. Emotionally, I hope the moon actually, maybe the moon can help us through this weird Saturn term here. But it's so serious, guys. I'm looking at it, it's making me so serious, kind of like heavy even when I look at it. So be a little bit on the lookout on the 27th, if things get too serious, with Moon, conjunct Venus. Again, Moon Venus conjunction alone is a pleasant one. Our emotions are pleasant, but it's happening in the sign of Capricorn. You're serious, professional, hard, minimalism. So it dampens a little bit of that Venusian good feeling, enjoyment, pleasure. So it's like the enjoyment and pleasure turns into again work. It turns into like some serious, and even when you start lovemaking there, it's like, it's kind of like too serious there, too professional, too organized lovemaking. I think maybe it's a good time to do some organized lovemaking there, because remember, guys, Moon is also going to be conjunct Mars. So the Mars, when Moon is Mars, it energizes us, brings kind of like this energy into our system, but it's again Mars, so it can bring even aggression, especially when it's in the term of Saturn. It's a little bit of that hardship. So if you tend to be a little bit too aggressive here, too much sexual, because again later on Moon is going to be conjunct Pluto here as well. So it's going to be very sexual energy in the term of Mars, and can be aggressive as well. So there can be some passive aggressiveness here, I think, as well. So be on the lookout for that on the 27th. Better to do some, I don't know, practical organizing, physical organizing of some sort. Maybe do something at the home, organize something at the home. And if you're already kind of like more open to it, do some emotional work, meditation, deep meditation here with this Pluto Moon conjunction happening there. Yeah, it's a bit of a interesting end of week here, guys. So be on the lookout for a little, like, put the aggressiveness and work. Actually, I think working towards your some sort of project that needs organizing can be good. Maybe even some sort of project that needs some research, deeper research here, organizing, making it a little bit more beautiful can happen here as well. So use that energy for that instead of being aggressive, maybe passive aggressive. Pluto always triggers some deeper wounds in us as well, so it can bring some emotional things to the surface, to the light. So later on in the day, be a little bit careful on the 27th. But again, moon starts to shift away in a couple of hours, so it's not like super duper serious there. And we're going to be getting the Sun-Jupiter conjunction, but we're going to talk about that in a later video, in the next week's video. So guys, thank you very much for watching, listening. Like, share, subscribe, comment under the video what you'd like, what you don't like. Are you getting something out of this? Are you enjoying this? And like, share, subscribe. Ian Altosaar, the Freedom Astrologer. Ending for now. See you again soon in the next video.